room, Ben.
Thank you. Gareth, you said after the West Ham game and that late goal in particular that actually it was a good thing that you had a quick turnaround in terms of matches. How do you feel a couple of days on? Has that been the case? Have you seen the reaction from the players that you want on the training pitch and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I have, to be fair. I think, we knew that there was probably going to be a few bumps in the road going into this month, this really busy month. And we were so close the other night to getting kind of what we needed from the game, and unfortunately we suffer in those last moments, which is tough to take. But I think as well with like the limitations we had with the squad and the team, especially that we wanted to select. Obviously, losing Laura Blinkill-Brown late was difficult, and also Alba Figino probably producing one of her most productive games against Tottenham, and then we're not able to use her for the game in that period. And then obviously with Viv and Bunny having restrictions as well, it's quite tough. At some point we had to put them on into the game. We were hoping we wouldn't have to use them to help them for this weekend. But by doing so, we got back into the game, got ahead in the game, which was really positive. And we started to create a little bit more flow then. I think the control chart was a bit sketchy in the first half. I think as soon as likes of Viv and Bunny entered the pitch, that helped us a lot. Mary back out in wide areas. But yeah, it was tough to take at the end, but I think there was a lot of positives in there. I think, the progression of Gracie Pryor has been great to see. I think that she performed really, really well. And of course, we played against West Ham. We won 4 out of 5 at home at that stadium. Difficult pitch. They're really good on the set plays. I thought we had 9 corners conceded. We had 88% of first contacts. Gracie Pryor dealt with a lot of stuff really well. So there were a lot of positives in there as well, particularly with the personnel we had.
Looking ahead then, I mean, you mentioned some limitations this week. Have any of those eased? Do you think you've got a slightly bigger squad to choose from this time, or have you got more issues?
I think having Bunny and Viv coming back into contention for a start. Laura Blinkill-Brown is back training with us today, so things start to improve. It's probably going to be a little bit too soon for Alba. So yeah, in that sense, I think it's an important game for us this weekend. It's an opportunity to step forward into the semi-final of a great competition in the FA Cup. So things are looking slightly improved. We managed to get some game time into Laura Coombs as well, which will be helpful for us. So hopefully things look a little bit more settled for the weekend.
You mentioned the competition. I mean, the FA Cup offers you a fantastic chance, doesn't it, to win a big trophy this season?
Absolutely, yeah. And we're in the quarterfinals. We know it's going to be really tough to make the semi-finals against a Villa team that are struggling slightly at this moment, but still pose like a really difficult opposition because they have some extremely talented players. And of course, we really want to be in the semi-final. We're in the final of the other cup as well. So there's really important games coming up and ones that we're really looking forward to.
Can I finish by asking you about the Home Nations bid for the World Cup in 2035, the potential for that? I mean, obviously, it captured a lot of imagination around the women's game this week. And in terms of women's football in this country, that would be massive, wouldn't it, to host the World Cup?
That'd be huge. And of course, it seems a long time away, 2035. But before you know it, it's upon us. And I was fortunate enough to experience the last World Cup in Australia as a fan and as a coach, going to watch our players in various locations. So I think it's an amazing spectacle. I'm certainly really impressed with how the Australians handled that tournament and created a real special atmosphere. So I think for the home nations to be able to make the bid and hopefully secure the bid, I think it would be fantastic for everyone here.
Because obviously it's not even just the tournament itself, is it? I mean, you mentioned 2035 seems a long way off, but all those years of build-off would be huge, wouldn't it? Just to keep generating the interest, keep helping the game grow.
Absolutely, yeah, of course. And I think, improving stadia as well is a really important one if we are successful to be able to secure it. So, yeah, I think it brings so many positive things, so much more opportunities to put the women's game on the map.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. We'll go to Zoom now, Dan.
Hey Gareth, hope you're well.
Hi Dan.
Just wanted to ask you about kind of the variations that you've seen, what Natalia's brought to Aston Villa. Obviously, she's had a few games now, probably a couple of good performances, a couple where they could maybe improve a little bit as well.
Yeah, again, I won't want to give too much away about what I've kind of seen, but I think some similarities in what was happening there previously. under the previous head coach, and obviously Sean in the interim period as well. So nothing that's come completely away from what they do, because previously I think most of the evidence has shown that they have good individual players. They have players with the capabilities of performing to a level that causes teams lots of problems. And they've certainly done that over the years. Of course, what they need now is probably some opportunities to play and create their own identity and become a little bit more settled with some stability there, which I always think is the right way. I'm really aware of Natalia. I've met her previously. I've shared company with her, which is really good for me. And we invited her in before she got the head coach's role at Villa. And yeah, I think seeing what she's done previously at her previous clubs in Spain is really impressive, and she'll have her own take on how she wants to do things for sure. And that takes time to be able to do that and to be able to kind of get the profile of players that you want, and certainly upskill the ones you have already in the club.
I think these games against Villa going back numerous seasons have been brilliant games for the neutral. I think Villa have scored in the last 7 or something like that against City. Obviously, you've probably dominated, but how do you kind of go about managing their threats? What do you need to be particularly kind of careful of in this tie?
Yeah, of course, like you say, it's a tie where it's winner takes all and moves and progresses to the semi-final. So I think it's being completely aware of their threats, making sure that we are completely focused with and without the ball, particularly with the ball, particularly when we're attacking. I think that's going to be the real moment. They're pretty much always been set up with the pace that they have at the front end. We're playing a counter-attacking football game, so we need to make sure that we're really smart with that and controlling counter-attacks when we have the ball around their area, for sure.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Gareth. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. We'll go to Phil next.
Hi, Gareth.
Hi.
Just a couple. Firstly, with Laura Blinkill-Brown, could you just clarify what happened to the other night, and can we assume that it's not too bad if she was training today?
Yeah, just unfortunately had some. We think it was food poisoning. I think there's a lot of viruses going around at the moment, but I think we've identified that one as a bit of food poisoning. She had obviously a dodgy 24 hours. We had a feeling that she may be able to travel down separately without the team on the day of the game, but wasn't feeling up to it at that time. So it's a shame, because she would have played against West Ham, and trying to get that continuity and rhythm, I think for Blinky has been tough. But she's a very good player, has improved a hell of a lot, and is competing when everyone's fit with some world-class players. So I think. Having her back is helpful. Having Laura Coombs' availability as well is also really helpful for us, because I think certainly the other night we were a little bit limited in what we could start with, especially. And like I say, Laura would have been important in there.
So we can assume she's fine for the weekend then?
Yeah, she trained fine today. I think that one takes a couple of days, but speaking to her today, she seems good. She trained well. And we'll see whether she's able to start the game at the weekend. We'll see, and we'll make that decision tomorrow.
The other thing I was going to say is that sort of how much is the challenge sort of in general at the moment, and particularly going into this Villa game, just about not thinking about Chelsea, given the games that are coming up?
I think, well, for me, I think it's really easy. I mean, as a head coach and the coaching staff, we're really just so focused on this. We know that what an opportunity it is for us to be in the hat for the semi-finals. We are really not looking beyond this game at all. I think that managing this week has been probably one of the most challenging parts of the season, when we've had 2 tough away games on difficult surfaces, where we've not been able to probably play our strongest team, or certainly start that way. So we had one eye on this game as being kind of like the ideal scenario where we could try to be as strong as we possibly can. And I think when you do that, it goes to show that we're not actually focusing on the cup final next week or the Champions League after that. So, I think for us it's a fairly easy one. I think for the players, it's always making sure that they're focusing on the next game and the next challenge. And of course, we're not huge in numbers at the moment, but hopefully we have some good situations going into the final where competition for places is high. or higher than what it has been recently. And I think the important part is making sure that they give themselves every opportunity to be in that final by doing the job this weekend.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Any more questions from Zoom? Thanks very much, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.